Hi everyone, welcome to my blog. This is Kimberly with Balancing Life with Christ, and I decided to do something a little different today because I really want to share with you my NoTalk experience. And I didn't think that it would quite translate well with words just because I wanted to be very descriptive and share my experience with you, and also just kind of let you guys kind of meet me and see who I am. My NoTalk experience, it happened in September. And I kept telling my fiance, I was like, I feel like I need a sabbatical. Like, wouldn't a sabbatical be nice? We should go on a sabbatical. And then, before Labor Day weekend, I made the decision that I was going to take 3 days off to myself. And it was really more like 4. I left on a Thursday night and returned on a Monday. It was really nice. So in the midst of that, I had just come back from my trip to Atlanta to check on one of my girlfriends, and I got a chance to go to the Ark of Salvation, which is my old neighbor, like the neighbors who I used to live next door to in Atlanta, their church. And I really love their pastor. Shout out to Pastor Bronner. But he has this program called NoTalk.com. And while I was there visiting his church, it just kind of encouraged me to go back and listen to some of his sermons that he has online at brothersoftheword.com, I believe it is. And during that, he mentioned this NoTalk challenge, one of the sermons I was watching. So I said, well, let me go online and kind of see what it is. And as I looked at it, it was saying that, we need to take the time to kind of declutter ourselves and just really spend some one-on-one time listening to the Lord. And he encouraged people to try and do a full week of NoTalk, but he said that if it was new to you, then you may just do 1 or 2 days. So I said, I could do this. So I committed to doing, the entire weekend that I was gone. Well, in the midst of that, making that decision, I had to tell my fiance, look, I really need to take this sabbatical, but I'm not going to be able to take any of my phones with me because the NoTalk challenge, you can't take any of your phones. You can't read any books other than the Bible. It's really you being in solitude. I know most of you are like, what? That's crazy. Yes, it kind of is. It's a little bit extreme, but I really enjoyed it. So no phones, no TV, no books other than the Bible. You were allowed to take a journal with you to write down what God was saying to you. He encouraged you to do things to kind of stay active so that your mind would continue to cultivate things. So Thursday, I drove up. I told my mom and my fiance where I was staying and that I would be off the grid. And so there I went. I ended up staying in a residence inn so I could have a kitchen at the hotel so I wouldn't have to get out much and do food. So I packed all my foods with me, packed my journal and my Bible, and off I went. So the first night was okay, this is fine, no big deal. I can totally get with this, But the next morning I woke up and I probably got halfway through the day and I must have stubbed my toe. And I was like, what in the world? So I was like, oh my God. It was weird hearing my own voice because I hadn't been talking, for a good portion of the day. So I had already, before I went, really, because I was trying to really stay dedicated and committed to what he said do, which was no phone. So I was like, okay, not even GPS. We're going to go old school, map quest this thing out. So I actually, had written in my journal the directions, to the hotel and back to my house. And then there was I had Googled before I left, a local park. Because I figured if I'm going to go out, I'd rather try and do this. I needed to be able to get out of the room at some point in time so I wouldn't go stark crazy in the place. So I had found this little cute city park, and it had, because I live, as you guys know, up in Washington D.C. area. So I ended up going to Annapolis for my sabbatical weekend. And so I found this nice park that was off the water, so nice views of the water, hiking trails, nothing too strenuous. It's flat land trails, but they had, in the wooded areas and whatnot. So that was really nice. I was able to get away and just kind of sit. And he has these little cards. I should have printed them and I didn't do it. But it says on the front, it says, I'm doing this NoTalk challenge. it talks about what it is, how you're consecrating yourself through not talking, and then it has like lines on the back, so in case you encounter people, you can communicate with them through written communication. So I had found this nice cliff. So the cliff was up high, looking out over the water, and it was like this tree hanging off the cliff, and you could see the roots growing outside the cliff from where most of the other trees had fallen down. And of course I wasn't able to take any pictures because I didn't have my phone. And I'm sitting there just like listening to the waves rush, just really taking in the scenery. And here comes this family, and it's like this young little girl, and she's all, "Mommy, look, it's a lady." And, I'm sitting quiet, like trying to ignore them, trying to look like I'm preoccupied so they wouldn't try to talk to me. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like the little girl kept trying to speak, and I was just like waving, like looking like the crazy lady that doesn't talk. So I ended up like writing out a note just in case a little girl came by. I could tell her parents, like, hey, like I'm just not talking, like I'm not trying to be rude to your little girl, and not talk to her. But nonetheless, fast forward through, I can ramble all day about random things. The major gist of the NoTalk experience was really just spending some quiet and alone time with God. And so during that time, it was amazing how my thoughts patterned. I really recognized what was going on in my thoughts. It was plenty of moments where it was just a lot of purging of the past, remembering people who had like hurt me, who like I've had connections with, who I'm no longer connected to, even just negative thinking in general. It really made me be more conscientious of my thought pattern that's kind of deep down in the subconscious, that was just kind of floating through when you probably don't even really pay attention to what you're thinking or what's downloading into your space, and you're trying to figure out why you feel kind of down. I was like, this is some interesting stuff. So I kind of journaled some of that. So I probably should have like posted the rules up so you guys could see, but some of the rules of the NoTalk challenge is that you so you could read your Bible, but he asked that you not read your Bible, like not do any reading the first day and the last day. So I think I had like 2 days available to me to read. And so the second day I actually did do some reading. I read Nehemiah because my church ministry, we were doing a study on Tobiah and Sanballat. I encourage you to check out the story about Nehemiah. It's a short Bible book, and the reason why I say that is because, especially if you're trying to do some great things in 2018, if you feel like God's led you to do some great things in 2018, that book will really help you to understand some of the challenges and tribulations that will come your way in trying to bring to fruition that which God has asked you to do. It's still one of my favorite books at this point. That was my first time really digging in. Like, yeah, I had read it before, but I never really underlined and really studied that section. And it just really helped me to understand a lot of what comes my way, or what may come my way, from the people coming to give you a false message, like the false prophets coming to warn you about something that really isn't sent from God. Like people trying to cause tension and throw dirt on your name and cause your character to be ruined in the midst of you trying to do your project that God has called you to do, even from the point of trying to just tear it down and say that's not possible, like how dare you. But what I loved about the book of Nehemiah is that God brought him resources, people, provision, protection, people really rallying together, and he even had to like call people out that were around him and say, hey, like we're trying to do some great things and you're right now off course, like how dare you do this to your fellow brother and sister in the midst of us trying to do some great things. So it really, Nehemiah had to be bold and courageous in all that he was doing. The other great thing that I really loved about the NoTalk challenge was that it even helped me to reflect on people who I needed to pray for and even view differently. So like one young lady came to my mind, and I had been feeling like, I just don't really know about her. Like this is just not, you know, a good situation for me to kind of continue to stay connected with this person. And God was like, just extend love and kindness to her. So in that night, I just started praying for her and just like praying for her protection and just reminding myself that she's worthy of love because God loves her. And it just really, the experience helped me to shift a lot of my thinking towards other people, towards myself. It made me be more conscious of my words that were playing in my mind. So like my word tape, my mental tape, just so that then at that point I can point it out when it tries to pop back up and cast it down, right, with the word of God and say, no, that doesn't exist here. Depression's not allowed here. Because that was the other thing. Like by the night of day 2, it was getting quiet. I was feeling solemn. I'm like, whoa, it was just amazing how easy loneliness and kind of that depressive spirit can creep into your space if you're not mindful and watching of it. And when we allow our thoughts to run us versus us run our thoughts, it's amazing how we really can have our whole life, our emotions and the energy around us be shifted as a result of letting our minds rule who we are. So one funny story before I kind of go on to at the end what all happened and how it wrapped up. I was at the park one day and I was leaving. I was like, I had been out there all day, took a nap by the beach. I mean, well, not the beach, by the water side, because we don't really have beaches here. And when I tell you, I was hungry. So I was like, I don't want any more, because at the time I was fasting as well. So I was like, I don't want any more fruits and any more vegetables, plain vegetables. Like I need something a little sweet. So I went to go to get some cherries. And I was thinking, I despise self-checkout. But I was like, oh, wow, I'm sure they're going to have self-checkout. I can just go in, grab these cherries, self-checkout, and be on my way. No, I had to stand in the whole grocery line. And the lady behind me was like, well, the cashier was like, excuse me, ma'am, can you tell the lady behind you to da-da-da-da-da? And I'm looking at her like, you want me to say what? Like, I can't talk to this lady? So I just like started pointing for the lady to listen to the cashier. So by the time it came time for me to get in line, I go to swipe I had a gift card. I don't even know where I get the Amex gift card from. I had a gift card. She goes to swipe the gift card. It does not work. Like it will not ring up. And she's like, oh, well, let me put it in a grocery bag. You know, this happens sometimes. She's swiping. And I was like, oh, and she's like trying to like talk to me. And I'm like telling her like, I can't, I can't talk. I was like, thank you, Y'all, I was like, this would not, of course this would happen because I shouldn't took my butt in the grocery store to get them cherries anyway. I should have ate those carrots and spinach and beans that I brought with me in the room, knowing that I would possibly have this interaction of running in and really having to speak to people. When I tell you by the time I left out of there, I was laughing so hard on the inside because I could not believe that just happened. She was like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't talk. It's okay. So like now she's like trying to sign language to me and I'm like, ma'am, I don't know sign language. I can't talk to you. I just need to get out this store. End of funny story. Hopefully you laugh too. Anyway, so in all, when I was there, my NoTalk experience, I kept praying like, Lord, are you going to talk to me? Lord, please talk to me. Like, I have no idea. Like, I was getting stuff like out of the Bible as I was reading that, and I was having my own experiences that were causing me to just do some self-evaluation. And of course, God was like talking to me in the midst of that, but I was really looking for some miraculous like download from God and for God to just really be in my space. And that just did not occur during those initial 3 days. There were a couple of things that God had me journal about and write about. One of those things I'll actually type up and put out here for you all to see. But I was just like, what in the world? Where are you, God? Like, I want to hear from you. So I checked out of the hotel, of course, around like 2 o'clock. And when I got home, I decided like I'm not going to, because I think I like started like at 8 o'clock on Friday. So I decided when I got home on that Monday that I was going to go to 8 o'clock. And so I went in my prayer corner. I'm just praying. I'm praying. And it was like, all of a sudden God just started giving me promises and declarations and just kind of talking to me and but there was also things that were attached that required a level of obedience that I would have to do in order to kind of receive the blessing that he had for me. So I was so excited that finally God had opened up and started speaking to me. I'm like, Lord, I went 4 days without any phone, without any TV, with nothing. I need to hear from you. Like, where are you? So I say all that to say I challenge you to take some time to yourself, even if it's just one day, time with yourself and time with God, and just experience something different than you've ever done. You know, I am truly a believer of if you do the same things, you'll get the same results. And that is just sheer insanity. If you want to see change in your life, you have to do some things different. You have to experience some things. Step outside of your comfort zone and let God make way in your life for him to speak, move, and do. So go out to NoTalk.com, see all about it, participate, do it, even if it's just, like I said, for 24 hours or 48 hours. Challenge yourself to just declutter from the world and go renew your mind, right? The word tells us, be ye not conformed by this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, which is through the word. So go spend some time with the word. Go spend some time with God, who is ultimately the word being put into us, and get to see what God has for you, what God wants to say to you. If you have any questions about my NoTalk experience, put them in the comments below. And thank you for watching my video, and I hope that you come back to read more of my blog.